This is a video on how to use the trig functions and inverse trig functions on the calculator. The first thing you want to do is check your mode. So if you go to mode right here by the second key, you'll notice there's lots of different options. The one that we're going to look at is this third one down, radian and degrees. Now for certain things you may want radians, for certain things degrees. Here in Math 99 we're just going to use the degree function right there. So go ahead and scroll over to degree, hit enter, and then you can quit the mode once that's selected. Alright, so second and then quit. And now you should be ready to do everything you want to do with sine, cosine, and tangent using degrees. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do just a couple. So let's just evaluate an angle. So let's say the sine of 30 degrees. I can just type in sine and then 30 inside, and then it'll give me the answer there, 0.5. Okay, so sine of 30 is going to be 1/2. If I want to do the sine of, say, 40 degrees, I can type that in, hit enter. It'll give me the sine about 0.6427. It'll keep going. So none of these necessarily repeat or anything like that, so don't expect a pattern to come out of any of these. Any function I want to do, tangent, say tangent of 50, okay, I can put that in, 1.191. So all of these you can just type in, use the answer that you're given out of it. Alright, once you know how to do sine, cosine, tangent, it's pretty easy to do that with some given angle. But the inverses are used to find the sine, cosine, tangent. If I already know that of an angle, I want to actually find the angle, then I have to use those inverses. And those inverses are just the second, and then sine gives me inverse sine, second cosine gives me inverse cosine, and so on. So let's go and try, let's say, the inverse tangent of 1/2. Alright, so if I want to do inverse tangent of 1/2, alright, what this says is I want to know the angle that gives me a tangent of 1/2. So I go ahead and hit enter. Alright, and there it is, 26.56 degrees. So these sometimes come out nice, sometimes not, a lot of times not. If we want to do inverse sine of 1/2, go and type that one in. That's sine, need inverse sine. So second sine. So there's that little -1 that indicates it's an inverse. And then 1/2. And then enter. Alright, so there's inverse sine of 1/2, which was 30. And notice on these, okay, if I type in sine of 30, that should give me that 1/2 back. So inverse sine gives me the angle whose sine is 1/2, and sine of 30, okay, tells me sine of that angle is that 1/2. So those are inverse relationships right there. Unfortunately, there's no secant, cosecant, cotangent buttons. Those you always have to just evaluate using the reciprocal property. So if I want the secant of, say, 40 degrees, that's just flipping the, for the secant, flipping the cosine. So I can do 1 divided by cosine of 40, and that'll give me the secant of 40. Alright, so there's that secant of 40 value right there. So there is no way to just punch in SEC, okay, for the secant function. It's not built in, but you can use that flipping property or reciprocal property right there. So 1 over the cosine does give me that value. Notice this is different than inverse cosine. Okay, inverse cosine gives me the angle, okay, whose cosine is 40, and this shouldn't give me anything because there's no cosine value that comes out to 40. So there I get an error. Alright, so any of those, just make sure that you are careful when you type those in with sines, cosines, tangents, or their inverses.